Over the past few years, AEW has been responsible for some of the biggest pay-per-view moments in pro wrestling history. From the return of CM Punk and the debuts of Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson at All Out 2021 to Adam Copeland's debut in the company back in 2023 at Wrestle Dream, there are so many moments you could go back and look at as historic game changers for not just the company, but the industry as a whole. However, one of the biggest lingering questions fans have had for years is, when is AEW going to catch up with the times and finally put their pay-per-views on a streaming platform for all of us to see? Well, that kind of happened this week as AEW announced an expansion of their deal with Warner Brothers Discovery that will make sure that AEW pay-per-views are going to be live on HBO Max, but with the caveat that it only comes with a $10 discount. And this is a far cry from what fans expected AEW to be doing with their pay-per-views once they actually got on a streaming platform. But in my view and from where I stand, I think it's something that fans honestly should have always expected. In this video, I'm going to talk about why AEW has not put their pay-per-views on a platform, why it is probably going to be a little bit of time, probably a couple of years before that even becomes remotely a reality, and why from a business standpoint it is the right thing for AEW to do, even though it is going to piss off a lot of us fans. All that and much more coming up right here in this video. I'm Omer Q, Big Ohm. Be sure to smash that thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Let's dive right in. If there's one thing we know about AEW, it is that when they put on a pay-per-view, it is truly a can't miss event. One of the biggest things you can say about AEW in the midst of any criticism they may be receiving for horrible storylines or backstage drama is that their pay-per-views are above and beyond what everyone else is doing on a consistent basis. You will rarely walk away from an AEW pay-per-view event and say that you did not get your money's worth. And that has for years been one of the biggest benefits that the company has always leaned on. And it is for that reason that many fans have felt like, well, we are okay with paying the absorbent amount of money, the $49.99 a month in the United States, in order to purchase that pay-per-view. And while all of that is well and good, we are living in very different times compared to where we were 10, 15 years ago. Because if you look at traditionally the way wrestling has been broadcast on pay-per-view, it has been through pay-per-view providers. WWE used to do monthly pay-per-views for upwards of $40 to $50 per month. And then in 2014, all of that changed with the WWE Network. They launched the network, and all pay-per-views for the forthcoming future were included for $9.99 a month. Then, of course, the deal with Peacock happened in 2021, and WWE pay-per-views were now put on that platform for relatively the same price, if not slightly more. But point is, WWE over time made it a normal business practice to make your pay-per-views available for a significantly cheaper price. So that's why when AEW originally put on their pay-per-view shows and they were charging $30, $40 per show, fans were kind of confused because for so long they had been used to paying that $9.99 per month, and now they were expected to pay more. And you could very well criticize that if it didn't work, but the fact of the matter is it did. From their first show back at Double or Nothing 2019 to everything that came after, it has been basically the fact that AEW has 100,000 or right around there pay-per-view buys per show. And in this day and age, when pay-per-views are dying and everything is on a streaming platform, including the likes of UFC, which was the only other big name sports combat entity that was still on pay-per-view, well, it would make sense that people would want AEW to be on a streaming platform as well. And for years, there have been rumors that they were eventually going to come to Max, that it was going to be a part of their September 2024 deal when they renewed their television rights. But that never happened despite all of the speculation. And the biggest reason for this, I think, is that AEW looked at the numbers and they looked at their pay-per-view buys. And when you look at the fact that they're doing 100,000 pay-per-view buys at minimum right now, and they're charging upwards of $50 per month for these shows, that is a considerable amount of money that is in their pockets. For them, it would make a lot more sense to continue this model than cannibalizing it, per se, and just having all of that available on the Max platform for what is probably going to be less than what AEW would be making otherwise. At the end of the day, it is a business. At the end of the day, it is about these numbers when we're talking about these decisions. And I totally understand and see people who say that you should try to expand your product. And a byproduct of doing that is investing long-term in having that product in front of as many eyeballs as possible, having it as accessible as possible. And that is an investment and something that I think AEW needs to think about over the next few years. But that is in a couple of years. I think that right now, they want to make sure that they are on solid ground. The fact of the matter is, WWE is more aggressive than they've ever been at coming after AEW. And it is explicitly, in my view, with the goal to hurt any future television rights or pay-per-view rights deal that they might have. That is why you're seeing AEW and WWE go head-to-head on September 20th. That is why you're seeing all of these Saturday night's main events forcing AEW to either move their pay-per-views or go head-to-head with them. It is explicitly to try to hurt those pay-per-view numbers, to make it less valuable, to make it perceived as a even lesser product. And in my view, if you're AEW and you want to not only continue to make as much money as possible so you have the foundation to continue well beyond the future, and you want to make sure that you're not simply reliant on the perception of you out there, especially in a media landscape where WWE is on ESPN, WWE is on NBC, WWE is on Netflix. There are simply not that many more people for AEW to negotiate outside of the Warner Brothers Discoveries of the world or just Amazon Prime. There's really no other option for them. And if they want to continue showing and proving that they are a legitimate entity that can bring people in and have committed fans, which is what these providers, these streaming partners want in the long term and how they perceive value, then I think if AEW is still able, after all of this, to continue to have 100,000 people per month minimum tune into their pay-per-views, pay that money, and be buying into the product, that is only going to inflate the value of the company even more in the eyes of potential partners, so that when they do end up cannibalizing the pay-per-view model, which I do think will happen at some point down the line, it will be for a number that AEW is more comfortable with. And I think at the end of the day, that is the future. And that is why AEW simply has not done it yet. The money just isn't there, and they still need more time to show value. AEW is still relatively a very young company. It was founded in 2019, didn't put on its first show until midway through that year, and didn't even become a consistent entity on television until later in October of that year. So, if we're being honest, the fact that they made it this far is still an insane feat. And for fans who may want that more accessible content, who may want that more accessible pay-per-view content, my advice to you would be, wait, it will happen. That is just the direction of all of this, the direction of streaming. It may come with some caveats. And while I am still very upset the fact that they rolled out this thing of HBO Max on AEW or whatever, and it's only a $10 discount, which is crazy because you got some people who are paying $9.99 a month for Max and some people are paying $20 a month for Max. So is that really a discount? It's just whatever. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go into this rant right now. But point is, I do think eventually AEW will be able to prove its value to a potential streaming partner, and they will get on there for whatever the included rate is that you're going to be paying. So patience, my friends. But I know many of you are still pretty angry, so let me know in the comments section what you think about all of this. Do you think AEW is going to stay on Max in the forthcoming years, or is it going to go on a different platform? And are you still going to be paying money on pay-per-view to watch AEW? I want to hear from you guys in the comment section below. Until next time, I'm Big Omer Q. Be sure to smash that thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Until next time, keep it real.